Okay, guys. So last class we discussed, how to program, serial communication in 8050 microcontroller. Okay. So in this class, we'll discuss um, how to program microcontroller using serial interrupt. Okay. In this case, we have not used any interrupt. We can make use of interrupt to, you know. To send the data serially and to receive the data serially. Okay, so let us look into that concept. Serial communication using interrupt. Okay, okay. So now to understand serial communication using interrupt, we have to understand these two things first. That is last class actually we discussed. Okay, what is known as transfer interrupt, TI bit of ISCON register, and RI bit of ISCON register, that is receive interrupt. So TI bit is raised or set to 1 when last bit of the frame data is sent. The stop bit is transferred. That is during the beginning of the stop bit, TI flag is set to 1. Okay, so that will generate a interrupt indicating that the SBUF register is ready to transfer next byte of data. That is, microcontroller is now ready to transfer another byte of data because just now a single byte of data is transferred. Okay. Similarly, RA bit is set to 1 when the entire frame of data, including the stop bit, is received. Okay, when the stop bit is completely received, RA flag is set to 1. The data is received into SBUF register. Then the RA flag will be set to 1. Okay, so SBUF register as a byte of data received by the microcontroller. Okay, so RA is raised to 1. Indicate that the received byte needs to be picked up. Okay, so what is the significance of this interrupt? This interrupt tells the microcontroller that one byte is already received. Make sure that it is saved in a temporary location. Otherwise, it may be overwritten by the another byte of data received by the microcontroller. Okay, or by incoming serial data. Okay, let's now. So 8051 as for serial communication, it has two interrupts. One is TI and RI, but together it is called as a single interrupt because, okay. So one thing we have to understand here is that either we are sending the data or we are receiving the data. We do not do both at the same time. Okay. So thereby these two interrupts are combined and single interrupt source is allocated for serial communication. Okay. That is when interrupt bit IE is enabled. That is when serial communication is enabled. RI flag or TF flag raised by the microcontroller UART device. Okay, causes interrupt to the 8051 microcontroller and makes the microcontroller jumps to the location 0023H. Okay, it is something like this. What is 0023H? It is the location, vector location where the ISR for serial communication is stored. Okay, it's something like this. Some similar to in logical OR operation. TI flag is set to 1 or RI flag is set to 1 will cause the interrupt to be generated. So thereby microcontroller start executing the code stored at the location 0023H. Okay. So this is how the serial communication is invoked in a 8051 microcontroller. Okay. So either TI or RI set to 1 will cause
What
the.
are the code?
I think there's somebody. Is there a question? Yes, I'm not getting the audio actually. Okay. Anyway, you can message me, guys. And if you have a question, you can put it on the chat so we can look into the question. No problem. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. Okay. So serial interrupt generated because of TI and RF line. Okay. So one more important point is what purpose we use serial communication interrupt. Is it for transmission purpose or receiving purpose? See, transmission, is something like, we know when we are sending, so we need not be interrupted for transmission purpose, but while receiving we definitely need a serial communication interrupt because we do not know when we will receive the data. So we know when we are sending the data, that we are sure, but when external device is sending the data, we are not sure. So that serial communication interrupt becomes very important when we are actually receiving the data. So the author has given simple example, it is like a telephone call, so ring of a call, is required when we receive a call, when we are receiving a call, not while dialing, because when we to dial, but when we receive a call, we should be informed that there is a call. Okay, so for that there is a interrupt. Okay, so serial communication interrupt is mainly for reception of data. Again, there's an example given. Okay, fine. This now let us look into a program, guys. Let us look into the program and let us understand the serial communication interrupt. So write a program which reads data from port P1 and writes it to P2 continuously while giving a copy to the serial communication port to be transferred serially. Okay, assume that frequency is 11.052 megahertz. Set the baud rate at 9600. Okay, see what we are doing here is we are reading the data uh, received on port P1 and sending it to port P2. This is a normal operation we are doing. Meantime, we are also sending some data to serial communication port for transmission purpose. Okay, so whenever a byte is transferred, microcontroller will generate a interrupt. Okay, fine. Yes, let us look into the program. So I'll take the program into the compiler. So let us understand the program and let us execute the program also. Okay, so we'll discuss the program, then we'll run the program and see what will happen. Okay, fine. Yes, in this case, let me separate, because lot many things is grouped. Let us separate so that it is very easy to read the program. Okay, so org is the main program. So here comes the serial communication. Here comes the main program. So this is the serial communication port. Okay, yeah. Okay, yes. Let us look into the program. Okay, let me open this only. Okay, yes. Now what we have to do is first we have to read the data received on port P1, send it to port P2. Meantime, transmit the data serially using UART device or hardware of a microcontroller. Okay, fine. Yes, let us say we start from the beginning, that is org0000h. Okay, this what does it corresponds to? This is nothing but the main program counter initialized to 0. Okay, we know that in whenever we are using the interrupt, we should not use the first 30 space, 30 space in the sense from 0000 up to 0030h, because ISR of an interrupt will be stored. Okay, so that's why what we do is we'll force the controller to jump to some other location, so to store the main program. Okay, and at the location 0023h we'll store the ISR of serial communication interrupt. Okay, so at 0023h ISR for serial communication is stored. Okay, we'll see what is the serial communication, we'll see, guys. Okay, so first let us go to the main program. In the main program, what we do is, so first we have to receive the data on port P1. Before we receive the data on port P1, we have to configure the port P1 as a input port. How do we configure the port P1 as input port? By setting all the pins of a port 1 as 1. Okay, so by setting, first we have to set all the pins of a port 1 as 1. It is configured as a input port. If it is stored with 0, it will be configured as a output port. So this is how we are going to configure a port of a 8051 microcontroller. Okay, so next is we have to select timer. Okay, so we know that for baud rate selection we use just a minute. For baud rate selection we use timer 1 in mode 2 operation, that is auto reload mode. So we know that the value loaded to the tmod is 20h, which will select timer 1 in mode 2 operation to generate the baud rate. So last class we discussed how does it generates a baud rate. Okay, next is we have to generate 9600 baud rate. Okay, so for that we have to load fd to th1. What is other method, guys? We can load -3 to th1. That will also store fd into th1. Okay, so which will select 9600 baud rate. Okay, this next is we have to select serial communication mode. That is one is REN bit is enabled, 8-bit data, one start bit and one stop bit, for which we have to load 50H2 ISCON register. Yes, in the last class we observed that these three lines are common for any generally any what you call serial communication programming, because Generally, if you go for a 9600 baud rate, data loaded to ATH1 is FDH or -3. So TMOD should be timer 1 in mode 2. That is common. That cannot be changed. And we have to load 50H to SCON register to enable REN, that is to receive the data serially and to transmit the data serially. Okay. And next is 8-bit data, 1 stop bit and 1 start bit. Okay. So these 3 lines almost same for all the serial communication programs, except when you use the different baud rate other than 9600. Only this value changes. Okay. Otherwise, these 3 lines remains the same. Okay. Fine. Yes, next additional line is we use here is we have to enable the interrupt due to serial communication. Okay, so this bit will enable the interrupt due to serial communication. This is EA, enable all. Okay, this bit should be 1, and this bit is for serial communication. This bit should be set to 1 so that we can enable the interrupt due to serial communication. Okay, yes, observe that we are not enabling any other interrupt. Okay, so there is no other interrupt causing the microcontroller. Okay, so there is only one interrupt, that is serial communication interrupt. Yes, now after loading the value to the TMOD register, to generate the baud rate, we have to start the timer. Okay, when we start the timer, UART device will generate a signals at a rate of 9600 pulses per second, which is nothing but the baud rate. Okay, fine. So these lines correspond to serial communication settings. No, to generate the baud rate. Yes, next is what is the normal operation we are doing is we are receiving the data at port P1, sending it to port P2. Okay, so receive the data at port P1, load it to accumulator. So the same data is loaded to SBUF register so that it can be transmitted serially, and the same data is copied into port P2 to transmit the data parallelly. See, SBUF will send the data. Oh, sorry, guys, what is this? Sorry. Okay. So SBUF will send the data serially. Okay. UART device will send the data serially whenever a data byte is loaded to SBUF register. Okay. Whereas the P2, when we copy the data to P2, we are sending the data parallelly. So in this program, we are sending the data both serially as well as parallelly. Okay. So repeat this operation. Okay. So whatever the data received at A, P1, send it to accumulator, send it to SBUF so that it can be transmitted serially, send it to P2 so that it can be transmitted parallelly. Okay, so repeat this operation. Okay, now when does it generate interrupt? Okay, whenever the data is being sent serially, when the last bit is sent, that is when the last bit of the data is sent, next bit will be stop bit. When the stop bit is started to be transmitted, the microcontroller generates a interrupt, that is TA interrupt. It will set TA flag to 1, that will generate a interrupt. Okay, so when it generates an interrupt, okay, it has to jump to the ISR. Okay, that is located at 0023H. Okay, fine. Yes, now what happens is, see, ISR, if it is a 1 or 2 lines, we can type here only. That's not a problem because we are starting main program at 0030H location. So from 23H location to 30H location, these locations can be used for ISR of serial communication. But sometimes what happens is, if the ISR is very lengthy program, instead of loading the entire program starting from 0023H location, we can load a pointer, SJMP serial or LJMP serial, okay, which takes the controller to another location where we can write a ISR of any length. See, because see, if you see, we are storing the main program. Okay, so sorry. Okay, so we are storing the main program starting from 30H. Okay, so let us say this will take around 10 or 20 bytes. Okay, after this, the complete memory will be free from 0040H location to till the end of the memory. It is free. Okay, so thereby what we do is, instead of loading the ISR of serial communication at 23H location, we'll take a pointer. What's a pointer? It will force the controller to go to another location, for example 0100H. From there we are going to load the ISR for serial communication. Okay, so thereby whenever the main program generates interrupt due to transmission of data serially, it will jump to 23 location, that is 0023H location. This is default, this we cannot change. At this location we are loading only one instruction, that is LJMP serial, which will force the controller to go to this location where the ISR is stored, starting from the location 0100H, which is initialized using the assembler directive org 10100H. So org assembler directive is used to initialize the program counter so that we can load the ISR for serial communication. Okay, fine. Let us see what is there in this ISR. Okay, so it is called as serial because the serial interrupt. You can give any name. This does not has any restriction. You can give any name. After all, it's a subroutine name. Okay, you can give any name. Okay, it is used to call the subroutine. Okay, yes, now. So once the interrupt is enabled due to serial communication, we have to wait till the TA flag is set to 1. So if once the TA flag is set to 1, that means the last bit is transferred. Okay, so when the last bit is transferred, okay, so what we do next is, okay, so there's two possibility. Okay, see, at this point we do not know what is the source of interrupt. Maybe since we have enabled the REN bit, maybe we have received serial data because of which there's an interrupt, which is set. See, when we receive the serial data, RA flag is set to 1, because of which there is an interrupt, or we are transmitting the data serially, because of that there's an interrupt. Yes, the problem in serial communication is whenever it generates interrupt, we do not know is it because of TA flag or RA flag. So thereby, in our serial communication interrupt service routine, we have to check both the bits. Check whether TA flag is set to 1. Okay, so if it is set to 1, jump to this subroutine where we do the operation related to transmission interrupt. If this bit is not set to 1, that is, if the interrupt is not due to TI, then it must be due to RI. If the interrupt is due to RI, what does it mean, guys? That means the 8051 has received the data serially. When it has received the data serially, that has to be saved in the temporary location. That is, it has to be saved in the internal memory location. So for that, what we do is we copy the content of data received serially, which is available in SBUF register, to accumulator, and from there we can transfer it to another location. That's not a problem. After this, again we have to continue executing the main program. But before we go to the main program, okay, we have to clear the RA flag. If the interrupt is due to RA flag, copy the data available in SBUF to accumulator, clear RI, RETI. RETI means return from interrupt. It will force the controller to go back to the main program where the interrupt was generated. If the interrupt is due to TI flag, that is due to transmission, so this trans is executed. In the trans means data is transmitted serially. We are ready to transmit another byte of data. So thereby, before transmit another byte of data in the main program, clear the TA flag, execute RETA instruction, which will force the controller to go back to the main program and end up the program. Okay. Okay, so what is the difference between other interrupt, like for example, timer 0, timer 1 interrupt, and interrupt 0 and interrupt 1 interrupt, is that in the ISR of those interrupts, there is only one RETA instruction is used, because we are very clear about the source of interrupt. This I'll go back to that interrupts table, so we'll clearly understand now. Okay, yes, here look at this. Okay, see, in all these interrupts, there is external hardware interrupt 0, timer 0, external hardware interrupt 1, timer 1. We know the source of interrupt. It's only because of only one source. For example, if it is timer 0, is only for because of timer 0, not because of timer 1. Okay, if it is due to interrupt 1, it is only due to interrupt 1 pin, not of that is pin number 13 or P3.3, not because of any other pin. But when it comes to serial communication, okay, we do not know what is the source of interrupt. Is it because of transmitting the data serially, sorry, receiving the data serially, or transmitting the data serially? Okay, yes, that's why if you observe in all these four interrupts, 8051 will disable the interrupt pin. Okay, which no, there is a flag. For example, if the timer 0 generates a interrupt, TF0 is reset by the microcontroller. If timer 1 generates a interrupt, TF1 that was generated due to TF1 set to 1, that will be automatically cleared by the microcontroller, because microcontroller knows the source of interrupt. Whereas if the interrupt due to serial communication, microcontroller does not know what is the source of interrupt, and hence the clearing of the flag, that is either RI or TA, similar to TF0 and TF1 in timer 0 and timer 1, clearing of the flag in of TF0 in timer 0 interrupt and TF1 in timer 1 interrupt. In serial communication, microcontroller cannot clear because it does not know the source of interrupt, whether it is because of receiving the data or is because of the transmitting of data. So thereby clearing the flag of interrupt will be done by the microcontroller. Yes, okay. It will be automatically cleared by the it will be cleared by the user, not by the microcontroller, because microcontroller does not know the source of interrupt. Okay, yes, that is the important point in serial communication. So thereby, in the ISR of serial communication, so we have to make sure that the programmer clears the interrupt. Just a minute, I'll jump to the the program where we are discussing. Okay, yeah, somewhere here. Okay, so programmer has to clear. Okay, so if it is due to transmission of interrupt, there is if ta flag is set to 1, jump if bit, check it is in jump if bit. If ta flag is set to 1, go to trans and clear ti. If it is not due to ti, it must be due to ri. So first copy the data to, you need not check ri. See here, then instruction need not be jbt ri, not necessary, because if it is not due to ti, the interrupt must be due to RI because of receiving the data. Okay, so copy the data from SBUF to accumulator and then clear the flag. Okay, then execute RI instruction. Okay, so thereby all serial communication interrupts ISR program will have two RETA instructions. One RETA instruction is due to TA flag for because of transmission interrupt. Another RETA instruction will be due to receiving interrupt due to receiving the data. Okay, fine. Yes, let us look into the program now. Let us execute the program. Build target. Okay, debug start session. So here we are using port 1 as well as port 2. Okay, peripherals IO ports. Which are the port guys? Port 1 and port 2. Port 1 and peripherals, let us say port 2. Okay, so let us say we have two ports here. Okay, so let us run the program. So since we are sending the data serially, okay, so whatever the data we receive on port 1 will be sent to port 2. This is it, port 2. Yes, port 2, correct. Okay, so port 2. So let me give some data to port 1. Let us say 20H. So sorry, it should be given on pin. Okay, so whatever we give it on port 1 should appear on port 2. Okay, okay, guess now, just a minute. I've given the data, I'll run the program again. So I should give the data before I start the execution. Debug start session. So data given will be, let us say 20H. I'll give it on the pins, data 20H. See, this 20 corresponds to the data received by the microcontroller on port 1. Okay, 20H. So when I run the program, debug run. Okay, sorry, it didn't change. So I have to set it to 20H. So this is 20H. Okay, so data received will be 20. See, we are not getting any data on UART because we are not receiving the data. We are sending the data serially. Okay, so that serial data details will be found in serial channel. Okay, so the serial communication, the baud rate is 9600. Okay, so 50H is set to ISCON, that is for serial communication purpose, and the timer selected is 2-bit auto reload mode. Okay, yes, it's not changing it to sending it to port P2. Um, Port P2 should be set as, yes, just a minute, I'll set the port P2 as output port. I have to set port P2 as here only I'll set port P2 as output port. Move port P2 as output port 00H. Okay, so let us run the program. Build target, debug start session. Okay, so I'll give the data here. Okay, once the program starts, anyway, it's going to change. Let me run the program. Okay, so we'll change this to 20H. debug. I don't know why it's okay. Yes, just a minute. Is it checking for? No, it's actually running. Yes, okay. Guys, I'll do one thing. I'll show the execution of this program tomorrow, guys. Okay. I'm not getting the output. I'll show this. I'll modify this program for serial reception so that we'll understand better. Okay. So I'll modify this program tomorrow. I'll execute this program. Guys, now we'll come back here. I'm not getting that output. I'm not able to transfer the data from port P1 to P2. P2 is not working. I'll show you tomorrow in tomorrow's class. Yes, okay. Next, there's one more program, serial communication interrupt. So in this program, I think sends it continuously. Okay, send to port 0. Okay, mm, let us give a try with this program. Yes, just 2 minutes. Let me check whether this program works. Here we are receiving the data serially. So the operation remains the same. The program earlier program was for transmission. This program is for reception. Is I'll check just 2 minutes. I'll check whether the program works. Then I will discuss. Just 2 minutes. I have issue with my I think internet. Just a minute. Just a minute. Yes, debug. Oh, okay. Before that, I have to make sure that the frequency is 11.0 into megahertz. Yes, okay. Yeah, here we go. Let me check the program from port P1 to okay. So we are giving the data on port P1. Just let me quickly look into the program. Program it gets the data from port P1, sends it to port P2 continuously. While incoming data from serial port is sent to port 0. Okay, fine. So incoming data is sent to port 0. Okay. So I have to open port 0 also. Peripheral IO ports port 0. Okay, so let us see what is there in this port p 0. Okay, so let us run the program. Run. Okay, so we have to give the data to port P1. Port P1 is configured as input port. I'll give it data as 20H. 20H. Okay. Oh no, it's not modifying it. It is not changing. I don't. It is not reading from the port P1. Try to modify the port which is configured as output pin. Port P1 is configured as input pin. Okay. Port P2 is configured as output pin. Okay. But okay. This again, I think I'll show this program tomorrow. I'll give last time I'll execute the program. Guess initial tomorrow's class I'll execute the program. This anyway, because the content of port P1 is not changing even after. Okay, okay. Time is running out. I don't know whether it is modifying the data on other ports. No. So okay, other ports are not taking the data. It's okay, fine, done. So another 10 minutes left. So guys, what I'll do is tomorrow's class I'll show this. I'll show the output for both the programs. Right now, quickly, we have to discuss one more concept. Okay, so I think is there any? Okay, no problem. Uh, okay, guys, last concept in serial communication is external zero, TCON. Okay, so next topic what I have to discuss. This is about interrupts. So we are actually discuss. Okay, yes. Let me go to this document, this PDF. Okay, yes. Now after this interrupt, next concept is serial communication port. Okay, here the same program was executed. This I'll show it in the next class. Anyway. This I have to discuss again. Clearing RATA interrupt. Okay, this is also discussed. Interrupt priority we have discussed. So to change the priority of a interrupt. Okay, so the priority of interrupt. This I have to discuss this doubling the baud rate. Just a minute. I have to go back to this serial communication. Okay. So in the serial, okay, yes, now there's one more concept called as doubling the baud rate. Okay, what is doubling the baud rate? Yes, in the last class we have seen what are the default serial communication UART baud rates. Okay, so we have seen that there are basically four. Sorry, serial communication is somewhere here. I have to show you the various baud rates so that we can. Okay, I think we are somewhere not here, guys. Searching takes time. Okay, fine. Guess what? The various baud rates we generate in serial communication is, so these are the various baud rates. And in the last class we have seen we can generate 9,600, 4,800. Okay. Yes, let us say for example, this baud rate is not sufficient. What to do? Okay, because the timer, UART device gets a input signal of 28,800 kilohertz as the input signal. Okay, that's correct. How does it get 28,800? Crystal oscillator frequency is 11.059 megahertz. Microcontroller will divide it by 12. Okay, it will divide by 12. The resultant frequency is 921.6 kilohertz. This 921.6 kilohertz is further divided by 32 by the UART device, which will generate a frequency of 28,800. Yes, let us say, for example, if this frequency is not sufficient, that is, if our baud rate needs to be larger than this, what to do? Because with this frequency, we cannot generate a baud rate bigger than 28,800. Okay, so in that case, we go for what is known as doubling the baud rate. Okay, what is this doubling the baud rate? Doubling means almost double the baud rate of the default baud rates. Okay, so that we'll discuss here. Importance of RF line. Okay, it's doubling. How to double a baud rate? Okay, how to increase the baud rate? One possibility is to increase the frequency of crystal oscillator. Okay, is here if you can increase the frequency of the crystal oscillator, for example, instead of 11.052 megahertz, if you can make use of a larger frequency, then we can maybe we can, let's make, if you can make it let us say 30 megahertz, we can we can double the baud rate. We can go for a higher baud rate. Since in a microcontroller that is not possible because crystal frequency is fixed. Okay, so thereby the first option is not possible. That is, we cannot increase the crystal frequency, but we have to go for other method. For other method, we use what is known as a PCON register. Okay, so let us quickly discuss PCON register. PCON register stands for power control register. This power control register basically is used to control the power of operation of, that is power dissipation of microcontroller. Okay, yes, the idea is this. Let us say whenever the microcontroller is not operating, that is whenever it is in idle mode, we can force the microcontroller to go to what is known as low power mode. Okay, that can be done using what is known as PCON register. So these are the bits of a PCON register. Okay, out of this, 3 bits are not used. Okay, and let us look into the other, what are the other bits. SMOD bit, there is the MSB bit of a PCON register. This bit is actually used to double the baud rate. Okay, this bit is used for mode 1, mode 2 and mode 3 operation of serial communication. It is not used for mode 0 operation. Okay, and that too, to double the baud rate, SMOD bit should be set to 1. If SMOD is set to 1, microcontroller can generate a double the baud rate of the default baud rates. If it is reset to 0, if SMOD bit is reset to 0, it will generate a standard baud rates, 9,600, 4,800. Okay, so there is a standard baud rate. Next is GF1 and GF0. It is used for general purpose operation, not in 8051. Next is what is known as, next 2 bits, important bits are what is known as power down mode. Okay, power down mode, if there is if this bit is set to 1, okay, what happens is uh, 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 the oscillator is stopped. Oscillator is stopped. When the oscillator is stopped, the microcontroller automatically goes to low power mode. Okay, yes, in any processors, the oscillator will consume maximum power. Okay, so thereby, even in our mobile devices, when the mobile is in idle mode, that is when the screen off mode, it consumes lesser power because oscillator will be working at a lower speed. Okay, in 8051, we cannot change the oscillator output. Oscillator will be turned off so that the microcontroller consumes lesser power. Okay, so how to then how to go back to normal power from low power mode? Okay, so for low, to go back to the normal power, we have to use a reset pin, or interrupt. Using an interrupt, we have to go to the normal mode. Okay, so this bit is called as power down bit. Power down bit means it will reduce the power consumption of a microcontroller when the bit is set to 1. So next is what is known as idle bit or idle mode. Okay, if the activity is CPU is stopped. Okay, so if this bit is set to 1, activity will be stopped. Okay, that is the we are forcing the microcontroller to go to idle mode. Okay, so to go back to the normal mode, again we have to use a interrupt. Yes, generally what happens is in normal operation of microcontroller, we do not make use of these two bits. Generally we don't use it because whenever we are running the microcontroller, we are making use of the crystal oscillator. So there is no question of stopping the crystal oscillator. These two bits are actually very important when we go to advanced versions of 8051, where we can work microcontroller at a different oscillator speed. Oscillator speed means main oscillator will be 11.0592 megahertz. We can reduce that to other frequency. We can run the microcontroller at a lower speed. Okay, in that case we can we make use of these two bits. Okay, normally for serial communication to double the baud rate, a smart bit is used. Okay, fine. Yes, let us see how this smart bit works. Okay, this will take one example. Okay, because normally when a smart bit is 0, what is the frequency of operation of serial communication? So the frequency of the microcontroller, there is 11.0592 megahertz, will be divided by 12, which is further divided by 32 by the UART device. Whereas, okay, so what is the resultant frequency? Resultant frequency is 28,800 hertz. Okay, whereas if you want frequency bigger than this, then we go for doubling the baud rate by setting S mod to 1. When we set S mod to 1, what does the microcontroller does is it will divide the frequency by 12. That is 11.052 divided by 12, which is further divided by 16, not by 32. If you divide by 32, the frequency becomes smaller. We'll divide only by 16. By dividing by 16, we get the frequency of 57,600, which is almost double that of 28,800. Okay, that's why this operation is called as doubling the baud rate. Okay, so we get a higher baud rates now. Okay, fine. We'll take one example, guys. Okay, yes, this is how it works. Divide the frequency crystal oscillator by 12. If S mod is 0, divide by 32, 28,800. Okay, is the frequency of UART device, or in other words, is the baud rate. Whereas if S mod is set to 1, then the frequency resultant frequency is divided by, that is 921.6 kilohertz is divided by 16, which generates a frequency of 57,600. Yes, oh my, okay. Yes, I'm left with only less than a minute. Yes, I need to wind up now. Okay, I'll continue with this, guys. Tomorrow I'll continue with this. Thanks for joining. Okay, see you tomorrow. Good day. I'm not getting the audio. Yes, thank you. Bye. Good day.